Pat McGrew again with Inkish, and this time we are with the really, really cool Steve Metcalf from Imagine AI Live and at Legends.ai. And I am so thrilled to be able to speak with you today here at Connect and everywhere you've been speaking this year. The story of AI just keeps getting more and more interesting. But a lot of the people who come to these events, they're not nerds. They're print people who just happen to know that there's this powerful technology that might be available to them. What's the best way for them to start?
Well, first of all, let's correct it. Most people in print are print nerds. So I always say that if you've gotten into print, whatever role you're in, you probably already deal with a lot of complexity, a lot of technology anyway. And anybody who's outside of print and walks into a print factory is usually blown away with all the complexity, all the machines and software and everything flying around. So I always say that printers actually have an advantage when it comes to AI because they already know how to deal with complexity. It takes a special kind of individual, very entrepreneurial, to even get into printing to begin with, and then stick with it throughout their career.
MISs are not for
Exactly, it's not for the faint of heart.
fear of heart, right?
And they're fearless in terms of spending money too. I mean, look at the kinds of capital investments and software investments that printers make. So they have the right ingredients already to be very successful with AI.
So
And
what do they need to know?
yeah.
Where do I start? If I've heard about it, I've maybe talked to others printers who've been successful with different projects. Where do I start?
So the biggest challenge on where to start is most printing people are already really busy. They already have a day job and probably a nights and weekends job, just keeping customers happy and machines going. So the biggest challenge is just getting the time to personally invest to understand what's happening. AI, the way frame it, is not something you want to outsource to somebody else. You need to it's a first person player game and it's not a spectator sport. You need to get in the game, and the easy ways to get in the game are start using the chatbot tools like ChatGPT, Claude, and others, Gemini. Those are great to get started with, just on a sort of a daily mentality of instead of just handcrafting everything that you do anymore, like whether it's writing emails, doing analysis, building presentations, go to the AI as sort of your daily driver, daily advisor. All the modern platforms have enterprise plans. They usually start at like $20, $25 a month per person. And they start building a little memory about you. And you can, the pro tip is ask the AI how to become better at using the AI. You don't have to go out and get a PhD in this stuff to
As
get
long as
started.
I've been listening to you, I've heard the story change quite a bit because AI has been changing, the tools have been changing, they've become more sophisticated. What's the pro tip for keeping up with the changes?
Okay, so there's no human, even if it's your job, I consider that part of my job, to stay on top of this stuff, that can keep track of everything right now. And so you kind of have to think of it like surfing waves. Like, yeah, you're not going to catch every wave, but just be aware of the beach and what's happening with the surf. Some of the best resources are just kind of not just following the headlines of the major newspapers. They have a narrative. A lot of times their narrative is to try to scare people. Oh, it's gonna take all the jobs, or whatever the narrative is. But really look at sort of the forefront of what is being developed and the latest releases from the large language model companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and Google Gemini and Grok from Elon Musk. I mean, these are the ones that you pay attention to. Probably one of the best resources that I find is using Twitter, now X, because most of the leading edge people that are building this are sort of X-centric, Twitter-centric. And if you start following people, in fact, if anybody goes and follows me on X, you'll see who I follow. And that's usually a pretty good starting list to stay on top of kind of just breaking news. There's some great podcasts that as people get a little deeper into wanting to build things with AI, so that after you're really comfortable just using AI as a daily driver, as a chat experience, now you're going to start thinking about what can we build with this? What kinds of ways can we automate things in our company that our software providers don't do for us, or edge cases, apps that we can build, whether it's customer-facing stuff or internal stuff. And then you want to start going into the next layer of, okay, how do we build on AI and make things with it?
You did a really interesting workshop here where you ran through sort of a build process from a project perspective. And I want to match something you just said about the $20 a month enterprise plan against some of what I heard in the workshop where you were talking about the cost of tokens. It seems that a printer would need to be planning a budget
Yes.
if they really want to use these tools effectively. What's a budget look like?
You know, as you get deeper, so if you start across the threshold, let's start building things. Let's start building apps or tools that we can use. You're going to start moving into sort of $100 to $200 a month plans. And the beautiful thing right now, the big model makers like Anthropic, which makes Claude, $100 or $200 max plans, then you don't have to worry about the tokens. They assume that I'm going to probably blow the limit, but another person won't. So it's like the insurance industry, like I'll be the claim and somebody else is going to be the premium. And it actually works out really well. So you can take advantage of those now and really take advantage of that power. So I would say when you're ready to start building with AI, you're going to start moving into, and you don't have to give everybody in your company a $100 a month plan or $200 a month plan. You're gonna find your AI people in your company, and including the leadership. I would say the leadership of the company should build an app because usually the leaders know enough about the business and what the direction should be that they probably have enough app ideas alone and just going, when you're, watching the Super Bowl or something, just, crack a beer and build something on the weekend. And what I showed today, it took, about an hour and a half. We built a printing estimating tool that's all AI native and can help printers estimate complex quote requests and
And
jobs.
that is one of the complex things that
That's what
happens in a print
everybody,
shop,
that's one of
right?
the number
That's
one, we did a
one
show
way.
of hands, and that's what everybody wanted to see built. And so that's what we set out to do today and we built an MVP and it actually fired up on my laptop just about 10 minutes ago.
So the big takeaways though are get smart about it, find some sources that you trust and go find out what you need. Follow some people in your social media streams that are smart about it. Keep an eye on what the
Yes.
media is saying and set aside a little bit of money so that you can get it all
Yeah.
done.
I mean, you think about the budget investment to get better at AI, you're talking maybe a few hundred to a few $1,000s a month. I mean, that's a fraction of what you'd spend on even hiring a junior employee. In the big scheme, it's a very small investment to get much, much more AI native as a company, and that's going to be the goal.
School?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The AI is your greatest teacher.
Okay.
You can just ask the AI, how do I get better at AI? And you really don't have to sign up for courses or anything like that. Going to workshops and things like that, I think is very useful because you can see somebody who's maybe ahead of you on the curve and how they do it. And it sort of, if nothing else, for inspiration, but this is very doable for just about anybody in any background. The biggest challenge is going to be finding the hours of the day to do it because you're running a business, you're running a company, you're solving customer issues, production issues, you're buying equipment, it's trying to find the sliver of time because that's really our most precious commodity is like, how do I personally invest into this so that I can inspire my team and my company to do it? And also give them permission to do it. There's a lot of fearfulness about data security, sensitive information. A lot of printers deal with sensitive information from their brands and customers. And there are plenty of ways around that to keep that safe. But don't let that hold you back. That shouldn't be the reason that you stop.
Steve, thanks so much for taking time, making it easy to understand and educating the industry.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.